what's up, everyone? Thanks again for tuning in tonight. Welcome to Tales from the Pits. This is a podcast where we're going to talk about different stories within the casino industry. Tonight, we're going to feature Michelle, and here are your hosts, Jay, John, Mike, and Danielle.
Hello. Welcome to the Tales from the Casino Pit podcast. My name is Jay. You can find me on social media at Casino Dealer J. We are streaming over 3 platforms. We're streaming over Facebook. Hello, everybody on the Facebook. Everybody in the Casino Industry Canada group. Hello, everybody there. And of course, my beloved Casino Dealer J YouTube channel. Hello, everybody. Thank you for subscribing. You are good looking. My co-host today. First off, I'm going to start with...
Hello. Oh, you're too kind with that banner at the bottom there. Michelle Workman. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here tonight. I don't really have a lot much else to say.
Well, we'll have a lot to talk about. So, okay. Of course.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday. What's up?
Danny, how's work?
Work has been okay. I'm not dealing a lot these days, but hopefully that'll change in the near future. Also working a lot, like 6 days a week again. So today's the only day off.
Well, hey, it's nice to have a break in the middle of the week. So
yeah, I agree.
I'd probably prefer to work the weekends, actually.
I like the weekends. I don't like when it's slow. I know people want to have the weekends off, but I like having every single table full of players. So
I think it's one of the things I miss the most about the casino is having a day off in the middle of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Just like go shopping in the middle of the day.
Yeah, there's like nobody out, it's better.
And our fourth. Oh my. Are you ready? Hold on. Let me take him out.
He just looked so coy there. He was like, oh. Like you caught him.
oh my.
To be honest, that's how I normally sit. So, like...
So, hi, I'm John.
Hey, how's it going? Hopefully I'm not echoing anymore.
No, you're all good.
No, you're sounding really good. Awesome. So, John, I actually had a quick question. It has nothing to do with this podcast, but I needed to ask it anyways. Because I don't know. I need an answer to this. So if we're playing Scrabble and then I put the word wanker, would that count if I put it on?
Of course, for me. I would say yes.
Okay. So you would let that go, even though I don't ever have that term.
To be honest, though, it depends if he was on like a double score or a triple, and I'd be like, how close is this game? I'd be like, excuse me, North American rules apply.
Yeah. English. Yeah, English.
Yeah, I would possibly try to cheat you out of that word if you used it.
Okay. But then if you used it on me.
I just checked on the official Hasbro site and it said no. That is not a word.
Man, that was... Michelle, I'm impressed by how quickly you Googled that and found the result. Sorry, you can't use foul language. You can't use wanker. Oh, bollocks.
So, how's everyone doing? Let's do a nice round table because, we haven't been together for quite a while here. We've kind of been sporadic. So, I go clockwise. So, I just want to ask Michelle, how has your week been?
Well, I'm better now. I had COVID a couple weeks ago, so that sucked. But this weekend I got to volunteer for the PGA Tour Canada golf event that was here. So that was fun. I've been doing that for a long time, since I was like 15. So that was a good time. Local guy won, Will Bateman, in a playoff. So that was fun.
That's cool. Do they give you anything for volunteering? Any kind of goodies or?
I mean, you get a t-shirt and a hat and like passes to the tournament. It's nothing like amazing, but I just like the people are fun and I love golf. And I used to be like when I was 14, probably 15 years old, maybe 16. My dad did the first event that was here at the was at the ranch when it first started. It used to be called the Klondike Classic, and like the mid 90s. And so we didn't do it with computers. So I'd have to take the scorecard after the guys finished 9, run it to the trailer. We'd photocopy it. And then I have to run it back to the players before they teed off on 10. That was my job. So every group that went through, that's what I had to do. Yeah. But now they use like handheld devices. People walk with each group and they keep the scores in that, and it's all computerized now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. At least it's progressing. I don't know if that's better or worse if you want to keep it traditional, or we have a topic about that. We'll talk about it in a little bit here. Miss All Day, All Late Night, Danny.
My week was pretty good. We had a Father's Day dinner at my grandparents' house, and then after dinner, my brother and I went and played Pai Gow because it was my only Saturday off, I think, ever. So that was fun. Yeah, it was good. Had a little bit to drink, and then finally put away all my clothes from Mexico. I saw something that said, like, if the first thing you do when you come home from vacation is unpack, you're a psychopath, and I firmly believe that.
And John, how has your week been?
It was good. I got a pretty funny story about yesterday at a soccer match where I was completely embarrassed, but whatever. But the weekend was fun. It's Father's Day, and I probably had my favorite Father's Day gift ever, and it was a coffee mug. But I don't know if anyone saw it when I posted it on Facebook, but my God, I loved it. It was so funny.
Yeah,
I kind of like think it shows the humor that I have and my kids have, and it was just kind of funny.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. It was awesome.
That's cool. All right, just a quick comment here. Checking in, Mr.
Hey,
Daryl.
Daryl.
Hey, Daryl.
We should start
Life alert.
including Daryl in our round tables. It just feels right.
Exactly. He's like our secret shopper. He's always around.
Yeah.
You're just not sure when he's going to pop in or not. It's like a seance kind of thing.
I did try to bring him in. However, he was working, whatever that means, on Wednesdays, even though he's on every single episode. So.
Yeah, right?
Gerald asking, did we get Kelly on here? We could get Kelly on here if Kelly's interested in joining.
Which Kelly? Kelly who? Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah, Kelly.
Tell me later.
One of six.
Well, there are a few Kellys.
This is what I wanted to show. Oh, hold on.
Daddy, your cat looks like a panther.
I know.
Yeah. I was like, how big is that cat?
20 pounds.
Oh my God.
That's a scary looking cat.
Yeah.
He's the nicest cat you'd ever meet in your life.
I think I've never heard your cat actually make any noise. Just keeps walking around and sticking its tongue in your face. Or his tail. Not his tongue, his tail.
He always wipes his tail across my face.
I kind of judge people by how they blink. If they blink too much, it makes me nervous. If they don't blink at all, it also makes me nervous. So I'm like, and I looked at your cat and it was staring and it wasn't blinking. I was like, uh-oh. It looks like it's in attack mode.
Oh my God. That's funny.
If he's mad, he makes this face.
So do I, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So this is I didn't bring any guests in this week. I was thinking there was going to be 5 of us, which was a lot, but someone bailed. You guys can deduce who that person was. Jeez, too tired to show up, but that's fine. I had a craps question for you, and I was looking at this because we have this in our city now, and it is the interblock. Everyone gets to play with their own dice craps table slot machine. I wanted to know what you guys felt about this. Would this be something that you'd prefer to play? rather than an actual table.
I would never play on that ever.
Okay.
I would play it, and I would be such a distraction. I only hope. Remember that board game where you used to push the thing in the middle? I can't remember what it's called. It'd be like
Trouble or
yeah. I only hope that if those dice were in that big thing, it made that sound of noise.
It's the only way I would play it.
There needs to be some entertainment value for the me, but and I'm like, bro, you know what I mean? Otherwise, that needs to be entertaining. Otherwise, if they just spin it over, like, ugh, where's my involvement?
Yeah. Danny?
So that's in Edmonton now?
Yes. What's that, Danny?
Do people play it?
Yes. There's 2 casinos that have it, as far as I remember. But I guess my question, because I've been listening to like a lot of like other podcasts and YouTube channels and people talking about it. I guess my underlying question is it cool to go to a casino or not? I mean, we're casino people, I understand that, but like, you know, like when I was younger, I used to love going, and I thought it was a lot of fun, something to do, either that or a club or dinner or something. But is the perception a lot different now, or are we just like old fogies, or just people that have been in the industry too long? Are we jaded? Is it a fun thing to do or not?
I think it is fun if you know multiple games, so you can like play multiple things, or you're willing to learn, and also if you go with people who you care about, or people who like you want to have fun with, you know. I don't think it's cool to go by yourself. But I still have fun when I go, and it's not because necessarily that the dealers are so awesome, they're making it entertaining, but it's fun because I'm with people that I care about and we're having a good time. Like, to me, it's basically the same. It's better than going to a bar for me, because at least you're doing multiple things at once. You can play a game and you can drink instead of just sitting there and drinking. That's my opinion.
I don't know the answer. It's hard to set aside my experience in the casino to answer that question. Like, you know, if I think about all the people I've met through work, through my kids, you know, other parents, every situation that aren't in the casino industry, I mean, I can count on one, maybe max 2 hands, the people who have mentioned going to the casino. Like, I just have not heard a lot of people do it. And the ones that I have heard mention it, they'll go like once a year, maybe, as like, and so I think they like it, but it's not like they're going frequently on the weekends to do that kind of thing.
Is that because they don't know any of the games, right? Like, if you go and you're playing slots and you're sitting there just looking at a screen, tapping a button, that doesn't sound fun at all to me. You know what I mean? Like, if you're there and you get to interact with other players and you're cheering each other on because someone on the other side got a blackjack, or you're all playing the same side of baccarat, or you're playing roulette and everybody's playing the same number and you all hit, like, that's fun.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, and I'm not saying that it's not fun. I'm trying to bring in experience from people who didn't work in the casinos.
I understand.
Yeah. So I think when they go, they enjoy it. They do. They just don't think to go more often than like once or twice a year.
Yeah,
that's just my experience with people I've interacted with. Like,
I feel the same way about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big challenge too is like to go on a table if you don't have, you know, you have no idea what you're doing. It's pretty intimidating, right? You know, like to go on a blackjack table or a craps table. It's all pretty intimidating for kind of new people.
Yeah.
I think eventually what's going to happen, and when, you know, Jay showed that game with like the and the dice, I think that well, now I want to play it. I just want to make sure it has a noise. But what I think will eventually happen is these are like entry level games, right? You can go up there. It's not intimidating. You can play on your own, but you can kind of like collectively play if somebody, you know what I mean? So you can kind of learn the game in kind of like a safe environment. It may be like you lose $20, $30, whatever it is, a small amount. but it kind of gets you into the spirit of like, okay, now I understand these games. Now I'm not going to be intimidated when I walk over there and feel like an idiot when I do these things.
It's
So I
definitely
think,
good for that. Yeah, I agree.
you know, like, and I was the worst gambler in the world intentionally. I was like, I just don't care. What are you going to say about it? Like, you know, because when I was in the business, I was like, I don't care. What are you doing? I mean, everyone was an expert, right? But I mean, like, I just think that there needs to be, because gambling now, I think it's very complicated and people don't have the time to kind of spend to, you know, hours. And, you know, I just think maybe there should be an entry point where they can go in, learn it without feel like an idiot around other people who feel like an idiot, you know?
What I really liked about the last casino that I worked at is they had a free learn to play every once in a while, and I loved that. I think that should be like a staple. It's like a lot of fun, and it like kind of, it's good for the business itself, and it's also good for the players to be like educated. You know what I mean? Like if you get to play like with play money for a little bit and like this, like teaching how to play certain games, then they can have more fun as well when they do go, because they don't feel stupid.
Yeah, it definitely happens a lot. I mean, how many times has someone come up, you're trying to teach them craps or something on the side, and then you're trying to not say 7, and then they're like, oh, 7? And you're like, oh, don't. And like within like 30 seconds, they feel stupid and get pissed on by the other players, right? So it's like that table you showed us, Jay, is like, to John's point, what games are so intimidating, it allows someone to just play by themselves, and if they make mistakes, that's okay. They're just like losing a bit more money maybe than they would have if they knew the game better, but they're not like, no one's harping on them or giving them flack for doing something that may be considered wrong.
Okay.
Just I just want to say one thing. But just looking back at that dice thing, you know that at some point, you and all your friends who know how to play craps, we're going to go, let's just take over that whole thing and just all play it. Do you know what I mean? If you're like, let's all play it. And you're playing like, you know, quarter craps or whatever. You'd be like, oh, 25. Well, I don't know what the minimums are, but whatever. But you're playing it just to goof around and just like kind of like rag on each other, right?
That would be fun. We should do that.
See, already you're like,
field trip.
When are we doing it? Sounds like a plan. We got an event coming up. Maybe that's when we're going to do it.
I guess I should not have said never.
See, all of a sudden, see, that's the thing. You're like, oh, I'll never play that. And you're like, hang on a minute. If it goes, I'm all around it, then I'm all in.
What's that, Danny?
I'm all about the competition part of it. If we all go, all have our own, we see who does the best. That would be fun.
And then you'll end up in an Oilers jersey again.
Probably. I don't have good odds. It's like 4 against 1.
Just on the side, Danny, I was just wondering if you like this photo that I kind of put together.
No!
Look at that.
Look.
You look so happy.
Immortalized for all the time.
Yeah, I will just show this anytime I feel like it.
Amazing.
No.
Okay. I am so sorry to do that. But okay, let's get back to the topic here. There's a couple comments. Daryl says, and I'm just going to skip here, teaching craps to newbies, not to say the word 7, was always my first lesson.
But sometimes you're trying to do that lesson and they say it anyway.
Yeah.
Especially if they've had a couple drinks.
Yeah.
Daryl also says, like, going to the casino is no longer special. The table is like the rest of life right now. Dumb it down as much as possible. And I think, you know, a lot of that is coming from the fact that, you know, we're not really getting a lot of new dealers come through. And if we're not getting a lot of young dealers or new, like, because, you know, the old dealers, they've been there forever. If they wanted to learn craps, they have the opportunity to learn craps. There's nothing holding them back. But we're not getting that influx of young dealers coming in and saying, wow, this is cool. Like, I want to be a dealer. We always talk, remember that season, a couple of seasons ago when Danny first joined, it was just like, yeah, you're a unicorn. There isn't a lot of people that have that desire to be in the casino. And I think like that's why I ask you all if it's cool or not. Are we old and jaded? Do we feel that way?
Well, then
Are
I'm
we?
jaded too. 'Cause
This is from Carly. Hi, Carly. Nice to see you. I had to make sure that you're on there. My husband and I go once a month or so and have fun, but we're old. I know you're not old, Carly, because you worked with us years ago, and none of us are old. So
I am.
I. But again, like this is someone from the casino industry. It's hard for us to answer that. I took my friends out. I think Mike was with us as well. We had some dinner, and then it's like, let's go to the casino. We went to the casino, and we wanted to, teach her friend how to play, and it didn't feel like she was really into it. And for us, it's like back then, when I was like on a table and I'm dealing craps, I would see like dentists come in, and they'd come in with their hygienists, and it was like a whole group of people on a table, and all the girls thought that the dentist was so cool, buying in and throwing the dice. It's like, wow, this guy's so like suave. They go to roulette, and it's like, wow, this guy, look at this guy, he knows how to play. It's like James Bond, right? I don't think you feel that anymore. It's kind of weird. I just don't. Is it because of COVID? Is it because we're short staffed now? I don't know why I don't feel that way about casinos. So sorry, I'm not trying to enlighten anybody. It's just it's so different now. Like I go in and I'm like, wow, like I don't really feel like playing, and nothing's really changed. Like I love playing, and I don't know why I don't feel that way anymore. If we go to Vegas, I don't feel like I'd want to go on the tables. Maybe go play Pai Gow, but other than that, I mean, it's like meh.
yeah.
I could pass on the craps table or blackjack. I'd rather go shopping, or watch a show.
Yeah, I get that for
Don't
sure.
you think? Sorry, Michelle. I didn't mean to interrupt
You're good.
you.
You're good.
But don't you think that's because the experience on the tables is changed? Like it, to be honest, I don't think this is. I don't sound like some old fart. Like, oh, it's not as good as it used to be. But I mean, like, it's now that, like, it's great when you go with people who, like, Danny said earlier. It doesn't matter when she goes gambling. She goes with her friends who have a good time and they know what to play, and they entertain themselves. It doesn't matter about the dealer. But a lot of people are not like that. So say, for instance, it's like me and my wife would go and you sit on it. So it's two people, and like the other people around you, including the dealer, play a lot of parts of the enjoyment of you gambling, right?
I agree.
So if the dealer should, in theory, stimulate the entertainment value for everybody else, right? Because it's kind of like that's the value of it, right? It's the integration between you and the dealer and the other players. Like, oh my God, you shouldn't do this. Da, da, da. That's a fun experience. So it's either somebody has to do it. So whether or not it's like your friends or it's the dealer, but somebody has to make it like an engaging, fun activity, right? I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think you have a point. Okay, here, a quick question to you, Danny. Is there a Pai Gow dealer that dealt after you that you like to watch?
Who learned after?
Yep. Okay, that's a tough question, right? So I feel like there's an issue there because I don't know if there's that desire anymore for people that are.
I
like,
actually have two people in mind, and they came in as poker dealers, and they both already learned Pai Gow, Baccarat, and one of them also works in the cash cage in the poker room already.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the most recent poker class, and they talk about wanting to learn every game that we have. And they actually make me excited to like go and talk to them every day and watch them progress. And yeah, like they aren't nervous, like they want to do good. And actually, I was really surprised out of this class how many people are actually trying their best. and not just there for like their 7 to 3, you know.
Mhm.
So I would say 2 people, actually. Yes.
Okay.
It's really something.
Yeah. It just feels like it's 2 people, and it's not like 10. You know, it's
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of been watered down over the years. Like I haven't seen anybody deal as good as Jon. Like straight up, people are great. Don't get me wrong. Like they're really good. The ones that have been dealing for quite a while are great, but I haven't seen anyone just wow, like blow my mind. You know, I haven't seen anybody do a new move where it's like, wow, look at this press. I've never seen anybody do that. It's just the same thing, and it's just a watered down version. So
I think the challenge, like for craps, though, you need to have somebody like one that kind of, I found anyway, that allows you to be creative while you're dealing, right? And kind of like wants you to be, because I think craps as well, excuse me, it's a very like expressive, I think anyway, it can be very, like a, you know, it's like, okay, this is how much he has on the bet, and this is how much it gets paid, and this is how much he should have, whatever he's doing in the middle. So whatever you do in the middle between like, okay, his bet here and his payout, as long as that's correct, who cares how you did it? You know, do it as well as you can and as fun as you can, whatever. And I think it should be like that. You know what I mean? You should stimulate, like, hey, how can you do that better? Have you thought about this? How, you know, this guy does this. I mean, like, so at least it's like you're trying to do something different and it's engaging. So like, I mean, I had a lot of people, you know, boxmen in my, like when I was, you know, younger dealing it, who kind of like, yeah, man, do this. And he allowed you to do that, right? But it's terrible when it's like, nope, you have to go like this, and this is it. There's no other way. And you're like, ugh, I don't want to deal this game.
I also feel like people expect it to be in certain ways, you know? So like certain pit bosses like when you do certain things because then it's easier for them to like understand what you're doing or to follow along. And I feel like a lot of people are afraid to like get in trouble or to lose their job, and so they're not like willing to try like new things to be better.
It sounds like you're saying like need to dumb it down to make sure the pit boss understands, and that right there is the problem. That's a problem. It's not an environment for being better.
I remember when, excuse me, when I first started in a Palace casino, you know, and all these great dealers come on like Jay and you know, Michelle and all these really cool dealers who had tons of experience, and they came on and they learned to do things different ways and to think different ways about payouts and stuff like that. And then they went back on the like roulette or blackjack or whatever, and they took some of those kind of like creativity with them. And so many pit bosses were like, what are you doing? You can't do that. What the hell? You know, he's like, oh my God, stop. What are you doing? You know, and it was just like, these guys are like, what you mean? It's right. He's paid out. You know, it was a bit of fun, whatever. But like, that's what I mean. It should be creative. It should be entertaining, right? I mean, like, let these deals be creative. As long as they're paying out the right thing and it's, you know, procedurally it's in line, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, funny that you should mention that because I do have something to show you. Let me just zoom in. Oh, hey, look. Here is my World Poker Tour mug.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, cool.
Fancy. So, anyways, that's not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you this. It was the Edmonton Northlands Klondike Craps. So it's an actual training manual that they had back in the day.
Is it like from the wheel craps?
Yes, it is. And hopefully you can see that. But here's some calling techniques. So, Jon, you're talking about them having rules. 1, each call must start with the information appropriate to that particular spin as specified in the call's procedure. 2, all calls must be in accordance with good taste and common sense. 3, stickman must not persist in verbal or tonal habits of calling, which are likely to irritate or confuse players.
That's a fail on that one.
For example, the constant repetition of the same phrase or a continuous monotone can prove tiresome to both customers and dealers. And the others. So stickmen should be aware that in craps there can be a winner on every spin. That was really cool. But I don't think the way that
Total.
you were teaching, I don't think the way that you were teaching us, John, we would be able to survive on a table like this or be creative. So I know like there was set rules before. So how do you
That's
feel about
I
it?
remember. That's ridiculous, man. I mean, you know it's bad when it was written with a typewriter.
Oh my goodness. So, I mean that was the rest of it is pretty much the same. There hasn't been any major changes to the game. The explanation was fine. This was the other page, and I kind of forgot why I put this on. Oh, it was just the general conduct. So, conversations between dealers which are not specifically related to the game in progress will not be permitted on live games. Well, I know that I'd probably get in trouble for that. Number 6. This is the one where I definitely get in trouble when in a dealing position on a live game. Craps dealers must pay close attention to their respective areas of the layout. Gazing around the casino or becoming otherwise distracted from the layout is strictly prohibited.
I love the way that's worded. Strictly prohibited.
Yeah, it's scary.
That's funny. I have my face like right up to the screen because I'm like,
yeah, I was just saying, it's like, I mean, it's like I gotta adjust my glasses.
I will scan a copy for all of you just so you can read it over. This isn't the only manual I have. I do have some from Vegas as well, which are kind of funny because there's some set rules that I've never even heard of, having stack size amounts and things like that. So I feel like you can't be creative with something that's set up like that. How can you push yourself and be different? You're just limited. You have a ceiling when somebody sets something up like that. I mean,
it used to make me laugh when they'd be like, "Oh, security codes, and they have asked you not to do that." I'm like, "Okay, can you ask the security to explain any of these bets we just had and what the payout is?" Because they're all called, and he has no idea because we had no microphone. But all of a sudden, you're like, "Well, you can't do that. You need to slow it down." We're like, because the idiot upstairs can't understand the game. He's like, "Oh, can you slow it down so I can understand it?" It's back to like the whole pit bossing too, right? It's like, why is he watching the game he has no idea about? If he is like, just be quiet and go along. Go and watch Pygo.
Yeah.
No, but I like Pygo. But I mean, like Sick Bow or some the donkey games.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I don't know. I guess my whole point is, is being a live dealer cool? And it's really scary because there's a lot of friends that we still have that are dealers. And here's a comment. Yeah. Yes.
Danny.
One cast member. Yes, for sure. Gerald says, I think the casinos are losing the desire to have live dealers. And that is a scary comment. Because are we just wasting our time teaching people how to deal and be creative? And like, is this going to be a lost art? And it's really scary, because I really do like traditional roulette, Pygow tiles, poker even.
Yeah, but I also feel like people already have a lot of skepticism. Like, how often did you have people come up and be like, "Oh, press down on the pedal at the right time when you're dealing roulette," or like, "Oh, like, are these cards stacked?" As if they're gonna believe like an automated slot type game. I feel like that will lose like a lot of the patronage. Like, we have automatic baccarat, like a huge setup for it, and barely anyone plays it because all of the players are overplaying at the live games.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think there's a lot of people like the live games. What I think will happen, in all honesty, is casinos will look at it and go, "Okay, well, the cost for this table, I need to make X amount of dollars, and now all of a sudden I need to raise the minimum of this table." It'll become more expensive for people to actually have the experience of a live game, whether it's crap, any of those live games. So I think what will happen is it'll reduce the number of live games, and they'll be more expensive, but you'll have more of the like, boop, boop, yes, games. You know what I mean?
Also, like when shuffle machines first came in, people hated them. right? They didn't trust them. Like, I want to go to the table that has the hand dealer. But people kind of get over it with time, right? So I agree with you, John. I think there's kind of always a place for the live games, but I think I think we've talked about this previously, but there'll be a shift to more machines. I can't remember if this was in Vegas. I don't think it was in Edmonton. Well, it definitely wasn't in Edmonton, but that setup where there's like a roulette wheel, an actual wheel, and a dealer that spins the wheel, but all the betting is on machines. So it's still one dealer that needs to be staffed, but you don't need a chipper, and you can have way more players than you would at a traditional roulette table because it's just a bunch of electronic, like where you input stuff. So it's a combination of both, where you reduce the amount of staff you need, you digitize it to make it easier and have more people, but it's still live because someone's actually spinning the ball, right? So that's kind of a marriage between the two.
Well, another thing though is the casino I'm at, they used to have a chipping machine, and it on both roulette tables, and you would just dump them into this hole, and they would sort them in the right colors, and you'd pull like a little tab, and it would shoot you out a stack of 20.
Yeah, we had those at the mall.
Yeah.
Yellowhead, I don't remember. Definitely at the mall.
That whoever makes them needs to do a better job of making them, because
we used to always race the chippers. Like, we'd always say we could beat the chippers. If you're on a really busy game with big stacks, I don't think the chippers were great. That extra one was faster.
Well, yeah, especially because when someone's hand chipping, you can choose which colors you want to pick up first based on the payouts. But if you swipe them all in and you're only paying out somebody else, but all the big stacks went in first, then they get sorted first, and therefore, like, you have to wait forever for them to shoot out like 70 chips.
Yeah, like if someone's betting all of his chips every single time,
yeah,
waiting for the chipper is too slow, right? Like, you need to what's it called? Like I can't remember my terminal mucking. Yeah, like my terminal. Like, it's been so long, I forget all these words. Yeah, mucking. Like, we used to get in trouble for mucking when there was a chipper, but when someone's betting all the chips every time, it was just too slow to keep up with that kind of player.
We're allowed to muck, but we can't muck on people who didn't win, and we can't muck in the third section.
Okay.
I don't think people follow that, though. I see everybody mucking in the third section.
Mucking's fun, though. It's like mucking.
I was just thinking, like Michelle, when you're talking about like what you saw, and it's like, one wheel and a person and lots of like, terminals. I mean, like, isn't that like roulette bingo? It's like we're all sat around like, come on, 24, and you got your little thing. Yeah,
literally, it could, like, it was probably like 15 machine, you know what I mean? But you could, it could be way more. Put it on a screen. Have like a whole room of roulette.
You get those like, I remember when I used to volunteer for my kids, and we have to do those bingos, and you'd have those like pads, and like, I was so confused. I'm like, I was in casinos for like 19 years. I'm like, I should understand gambling. Bingo confused the hell out of me. I'm like, what the hell? I have no idea. Just go and call this. But they have those pads, those digipads. So I wonder if at some point you'll have mobile games like that.
Yeah, could.
Absolutely. Okay, Danny, I know you're busy.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out, guys, but I will see you guys next week. And I am heading to Vegas very soon, so I will have some stories or information.
Well, yeah, Danny, you should actually meet some people that we had on our podcast. So I'll give you some names there, and then you can actually reach out, and maybe you can do a couple of clips.
Okay, I will.
Awesome.
Oh,
see, Danny, have fun in Vegas.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Awesome. I'm jealous. I'd love to go to Vegas, but I was too cheap to get the 10-year passport. I only got the 5. I'm like, I don't want to spend an extra $10. I'm just going to come back. And now here we are.
Not logical.
No, not logical at all. What's going on?
So are you expired right now? Or
I'm expired. Yeah, no, I expired during
it's a
COVID.
crappy time to need a passport right now.
Yeah, it's fine. I can handle it.
When I go to work every Wednesday and like to the office, and I walk through Canada Place, so I see all the huge lines up, and I'm going there at like 8:30 in the morning, and it's a massive lineup for people trying to get a passport.
Yeah, people line up at like 5 in the morning and spend like 6 hours, 8 hours there. It's I just had my boss just had to get a passport, and she applied by mail. Lots of people applied by mail months ago, didn't get anything, so then he goes down in this different line. But yeah, hours people spend there right now.
Oh yeah. So yeah, no Vegas trip for me anytime soon. Probably in months.
Mine expires at the end of next year. I'm hoping it kind of tempers down a bit before I need to renew.
Is that where you would want to go, Vegas?
Alex and I have talked about it. Like, we haven't been in a long time. The problem is, I think we'll probably go when we go visit my brother. My brother lives in California and my best friend lives in Victoria. So that's kind of where I go all the time. I go to those two places. They're beautiful places and I get to see people I love. But we've talked about, like, it's been forever since we've been to Vegas. So maybe one time we go out to see my brother, we'll kind of tack on a Vegas trip with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about you, John? Where would you want to go?
I know like Rhonda wants to go back on a cruise. She wants to go next year because next year's our 25th anniversary. And she wants to go on a cruise and like take the kids and go on Royal Caribbean and go, look, this is what we used to do and stuff like that. And
That'd be cool.
hopefully we can maybe find a cruise that some of our friends still work on and then do that. And then I'll get kicked out of the casino for being raucous. Get out. John, stop doing those behaviors. Even though that I used to do with those. Yeah.
Depending on who's working, you'll walk in and they'll be like, get out.
Exactly. Yeah. They're like, uh-oh.
No. We're not even going.
We know you. You're 25 years older, but you're still as much trouble as you were when you had hair. Which was a long time ago.
We've talked about that too, poker. Like, we did those poker cruises. We've talked about specifically going on those poker cruises because you could play poker, which would be pretty fun too.
Yeah. Speaking of poker, do you prefer being on a table or the comfort of your own home?
Playing poker?
Yeah.
Table, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played online poker, but it doesn't... I feel like when I play online poker, it's to try and win money. Like, it's not I don't get a huge amount of enjoyment out of it. Whereas, like, playing at a table, I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Because like lately I've started to think like looking at something and see like what the value it is for me, like whatever the experience like I'm doing. It's like, okay, well, like to go gambling. So you can gamble on a million things. You can do like AGLC has that virtual gambling when there's a deal in. It's like, oh look, they can spin the ball, blah blah blah, or whatever things. But I think it's the experience level and what value you get out of it. And I don't think it beats when you have the experience of being on a real table with the tactile chips and the sounds and stuff like that. If you like table games, I don't think there's anything better than gambling on table games.
Mm-hmm. It depends on the dealer, I guess. It depends on the kind of experience that you're expecting. Yeah.
But I think like here's for an example. Okay, so Jay, 3 of us here and Alex and my wife Rhonda, if we were all on the table, it really wouldn't matter who was actually dealing. We would have a laugh. We would just have fun because it's the people you're around, right? Like we'd have a laugh and be drinking, like, oh my God. It wouldn't matter if that dealer didn't speak a single word. We just have fun, right? So I just think the environment has to be fun, whether or not it's instigated by the dealer or the people you're with. Because we've all dealt where you get on a table and you're like, oh my God, these guys think they're going to win a fortune, and they're like dead serious, and you're like, oh my God, this when's this going to be over? Do you know what I mean? Like all they think is, oh, I'm a professional gambler. I'm like, no, you're not. no, please don't. So they take it deadly serious, right? So then they kind of like, other people are like, oh, I'm just here for fun, and I'm, like exactly like when we mentioned earlier, like, and I think those kind of people ruin it for like general people who just want to come in and like mid shoe and like, what are you doing mid shoe? I'm counting. I'm like, shut up. If I want to play, I'll play.
You made me think of a story when I was younger, like earlier on. I was pretty shy. Like it was not natural for me to like engage with players and try and be entertaining and all that stuff. It's kind of, the casino kind of helped me get out of my shell a bit. But there was a player, I'm sure you guys know him. I can't remember his name, but he used to play a lot of Caribbean. He played some blackjack too, but he played a lot of Caribbean. And he used to save for Fox Creek. Do you know who I'm talking
about? Yeah. I
Glenn.
play craps too.
Glenn, yeah. So like he had his moments where he could kind of go off the handle, but in general, he just liked to hear himself talk, right? Like he would just talk, and he was kind of a fun guy. And I used to love having it on my table because it was way easier. As someone who's a bit on the shyer side, he kind of took care of like that, keeping things upbeat and smiley and whatever. So I mean, that's just an example where it can be, it doesn't have to be the dealer. It doesn't matter who it is, right? Just there's like one or more people who are kind of elevating that, the excitement or happiness at the table.
Mm-hmm. Just a quick comment from Daryl. Daryl is going to Thailand in November for the first time. That's awesome.
Cool.
Oh, that'll be awesome, Daryl. I really want you to come back with some crazy stories. Like, what was that? Yeah, I just want you to come back with some crazy stories. And all parts intact. I'm not like a face tattoo.
You went too far. You've gone too far.
Yeah, exactly. To be honest, though, maybe if you do come back with a face tattoo, I think that'll be awesome. If you are, you need to come on here, and I just want to see, like, a Tyson tattoo across his face. And he's like, oh my God, I just went out for one beer.
Oh boy. Daryl also says, even before that, Glenn had his crew that would count cards on the $2 table. Yes, I do remember that too. I wanted to actually mention that new ship that's coming out is ridiculous. I think it's the Wonder of the Seas, or the no, the Wonder is already out. Hold on, I was just looking up the name. Odyssey, the Odyssey of the Seas. Probably a really cool ship. It has a casino in it. It's only one thing, right? But they have bumper cars. They have like this observatory thing that goes up in the sky, and it's amazing. And I think it's funny because I look at it, it's like, wait, that's in our mall. That's in our mall. That's in our mall. Like all that stuff that they have there, it's like, oh yeah, we have that in our mall, right? So it's just like, it's like our mall on water. It's kind of funny to see it, but I definitely want to go on a cruise too, just to see it. I don't know like how good the dealers are now because there's so many ships. I don't know what happened after COVID. I mean, I've been in contact with like one or two people, and that's it. And sorry, another story, but I'll say it after. But I think it would be really cool to kind of see the progress, or if there are any like kind of passionate dealers that are on there. So
I think there probably are, but I think again it's like the state of the industry altogether, right? I mean, a friend of mine still works on ships, and he said gone are the days when they were like there's so many great dealers, and they'd be partying after work, and the whole kind of like experience of being on there as a dealer has changed. Like he says, rarely do they have like cabin parties, and it's not as wild anymore. It's like, okay, they got to work. They go, they're obviously less savage than we were when
people being all responsible and shit.
Exactly. I'm like, what kind of casino dealer are you? Like being responsible, going to work on time, sober all the time. It's like, this is not what it's about. This is not what I signed up for. Like, in all honesty, like literally, I'd be like remember like Encino Man? I'd be like that. He's like the caveman. Like, what the hell is he doing? He's like, he drinks a lot and he deals a lot. I'm like, oh my God, yeah. but I don't think. Obviously, there's always good dealers. There really is, and great personalities. And to be honest, at this point in the game, I think it's like the game. I think a really good personality is probably better than dealer skills right now. I think if I was running the casino,
Yeah,
For sure.
I don't think there is that high level. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I play. I go, like, I've gone in the province. I've gone to like Grand Prairie. I went all over Calgary. I went over Edmonton. I didn't see anybody that was like, whoa, crazy. And I have idols for every single game. Even like Ultimate Texas Hold'em. Like, there's someone that can actually deal it really nice, and it's there's people that try to, like, I don't want to say make it an art, but it looks so much better when they're dealing it than someone like me or someone else that they just bring it to another level because they're thinking, it's whoa, what if I do this? Like watching Simon on Paigo Tiles. Wow, I
Mm-hmm.
was just awestruck. The first day I was on shift with him and I sat beside him, and back then our rotation was 20 minutes you deal, 20 minutes you watch, 20 minutes you're on break. Awesome rotation. So I would sit there and I'd be following Simon. I'd just watch him for 20 minutes. And it was like, watch this. And I'd be like, oh my God, I've never seen somebody actually drop cut tiles before. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, I can do it with both hands. And it's like, there's a whole talent to it. And I've never seen anybody match up to him. I've seen fast dealers, but nobody that presented Paigo tiles as an art.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, that's the level that I want to get to. And I want to be creative, but
Yeah, it's just a love following Simon. It's like tick 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 tick.
amazing.
It's like, oh
It was
crap.
amazing. Yeah. So, even just, when's the last time I saw people race? Like, let's have a chipping race. I've never seen that for so long. So, God. Just a comment from Mike, cast member Mike. I'm very proud to be your Stook idol.
Stoop idol.
Yeah, you're definitely a Stook, that's for sure.
I thought he was in bed.
That's what I thought too. I'm surprised that he's awake at this time. It's like 2 hours overdue.
But I think that was some of the best things that I liked in casinos. Is like, I mean, I worked in lots of them over the years, where you go there and you look at. I mean, like, there was lots of games that, like, I was just terrible. I was terrible at blackjack, and you could see someone deal it, and you could see, like, man, these are so good. It's something that like, you'd appreciate how good they were, because I knew my limitations on certain games. Right? I'd be like, oh my God, that person is like ridiculously good at that game, and you appreciate it. And I just feel now that there's not enough. I don't know, enough of those dealers who, like, you look at and go, I want to be as good as that person on that game.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, you may never get there, but to be able to go, oh my God, can I just be like infinitesimally small, as good as them? What are they doing that I could potentially do? And I just think that maybe the people have changed. I don't think people have changed, but I think there's not enough dealers that people should look up to and be as good as. I think
That's part of it too, right? Is having people push, right? Like, you need that example to push towards, to even start having that conversation, right? Like, when I love dealing tiles. Like, I took it pretty late, so I didn't deal it that much because I knew other games by the time I dealt tiles. But I remember, like, seeing Simon, and there's other good dealers. Like, Joe was pretty good, Kwan was pretty good. And I was always like, I'm going to do the 8, right? I'm going to stack 8. And I learned after a while, I was like, you know what? I am just not good. I don't have the hands to stack 8 tiles. So I'm just going to get really good at doing it 4 high. So, but like, it was fun to try, and to see how good they are at it. So yeah, there's always, like you said, John, you might not get there, but it's still having people push you, right, to be better.
And I think, like in most industries, and there should be somebody that you look up and go, oh my God, look how good this person is. I want to aspire to be as good as them. You may never get there, but you're aspiring to be better than what you currently are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Vince. Vince has a comment. Hey, nice to see you.
Blackjack Attack.
Have you guys heard of Blackjack Attack? I have not played that game. Or is
Hey,
that
Vince, no, I haven't heard it.
that? I don't know. He might be talking about a system. So
Is it a book? I just Googled it and a book showed up.
yeah, Vince, if you have any more information about that, I'd like to hear about it. Because when was the last time I played blackjack? When I told you that story where I hit a hard 18? Yes, that was me. I did hit a hard 18 and I got a 20 and I still lost, which was so awesome. I loved it.
I think the last time I even thought about playing blackjack, I couldn't even tell you where it was, because it was probably, I don't know, definitely more than 5 years. Could have been 10 years ago. But I walked up to the table and I got really confused. I wasn't sure if it was a blackjack table because there's all these like extra things everywhere now. Like in our group chat, Danny was talking about, what was it, pandas and dragons?
On
Baccarat, and I was like literally speaking a different language. Like I don't know the current stuff. I need to go to the casino once in a while so I can stay current. I feel like I don't belong. I'm a fraud on this podcast now.
No, don't feel that way. It's been a while. Like I walk in and I check out the place and I try things, but I haven't been going as frequently as I did before. So I just did want to show you this though, because you were talking about side bets. There you go. There's one with like 6 side bets. So.
Right. So I'd walk up to the table like, oh, blackjack. Wait, is this blackjack? What's going on? What's 21 plus 3? Is this a different game? What's happening?
The last one that I played was on Grand Prairie, and it was this one here. If you look in the middle, it was King's Ransom. So it was like a version of 20s, any kind of 20s. So like a king of spades, a queen of spades, things like that. You would get some really big payouts. I think that was really cool. But again, I mean, these side bets are just more like parlor games than anything. I miss the purity of the game. Surrender, to me, like ruined blackjack in the whole flow when we introduced it, like in 99.
Remember when you used to get the people who would do it all the time and it just like kill me now.
Yeah.
You're on like a $3 table. He's like, surrender.
You're like, oh, he's got a stack of 50-cent chips. You're like, oh my God, I can't.
To be honest, though, I think on the casino side of it, I think it's smart because it's like you put up all these like the donkey bets, but all it does really is just take the money away that person may potentially have tipped the dealer.
Yeah, really.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, because they're like, hang on a minute. If that money goes in the box, we're never going to get a hold of it. But if he put up this donkey bet, maybe he'll play that and he won't tip the dealer. So I think that's it. And then you're like, oh, man, so. But then there's so many of those donkey bets. I'm like, how are you going to remember them all? Like as a player, like you said, Michelle, you woke up and you go like, what the hell is this? Like where did these come from? What do they mean?
Well, they're fairly simple. Like you just need a quick explanation. You learn it in like a minute, so they make it that easy. I still think Lucky Lucky is the best one out of the side bets that I've ever seen. Lucky Ladies was, but what are you saying, John?
I think at some point there won't even be a bet involved. It'll be just the donkey bet. You know what I mean? Like you were like, oh, well, we don't care about your $3 that you're going to be, or your $5, whatever it's going to be, $10. Well, just bet the donkey ones, and then if they come in, you win.
Yeah.
And if they don't, well, we just make you pour it faster.
Well, I think the three of us have been blessed with seeing so many different variations of poker and blackjack. That Spanish 21, if you remember that, Stuke. I might just mention Stuke. There's been so many versions of these side bets that it's just been an adventure.
There used to be a game in Britain, and this is how bad it was. It wasn't allowed in the casinos, but it was on ferries. So there's like ferries that go from Britain to Ireland and Britain. So they'd have this like ridiculous little casino thing on these ferries, and it was a pure rip-off. And you had pontoon, and it was like it had all these weird rules. And basically, you would lose any push, you'd lose because the dealer had a 1-point advantage on anything. You have 18, I have 18, you lose. There was like it's called a thing called a 5-card Charlie, where If you got 5 cards in hand, you'd won. But it was a ridiculous game, right? So it was just another kind of like crazy version of blackjack that you had no chance of winning.
Just a quick question, John. Do you remember any side bets when you were dealing on the ships? Or was it just blackjack?
No, they never really had him. I mean, like, yeah, it was a while ago, but it was just like straight blackjack, and yeah, they didn't really have anything that I remember.
Yeah, I couldn't remember either, actually. All I
No, I
remember
think
was go ahead.
No, I think you're right. I think it was just like, old school roulette, blackjack, and I didn't even have really like call bets or anything like that. But roulette was always. I remember talking about on the ships. I remember, teaching like, the first night of the cruise. Oh, it's going to be like lessons or whatever it was when they did them. I'm like, I don't want to do them. I'm like, okay, John, teach roulette. I'm like, okay. I'd explain the game, but I would never, ever, ever explain corners. Like those corners, like the corners. I would just wouldn't, because I knew. I mean, I'm like, you have to bet 3 chip minimum at the time. And I was like, okay. And then I'd explain it. And they'd be like, so what if I bet here? I was like, okay, it covers those 4. Oh, okay. And you see them the next day and they bet 3 corners. I'm like, it was like, I don't want to play the, I always found that roulette on ships was just like, oh my God, it was like the worst game ever to deal. It was very rarely ever entertaining.
Wasn't it Lars who, like, if he didn't want to deal, or if a player came up that he didn't want to deal to, he would just have this really, really fast way of explaining craps? Like he would just be like,
70 wins, 70 lose, 70
like,
lose, 70.
Yeah. And then they would just be like, okay. And then they just leave. I can't do that stuff. I mean, it's funny to me, but yeah.
I'll do a reel about how one of my shipmates was explaining the game. It was pretty bad. It's like the pass line, you lose on 2, 3, 12 on the first roll. When there's a point, you lose on a 7. The don't pass, you lose on a 7, 11. When there's a point, you lose on the point. The field, you lose on 5, 6, 7, 8. He just says all of the numbers that you lose. And all the players would be like, well, how do you win then? It's like pretty bad.
I remember one time, a long time ago, this guy walks up and it was like literally we're about 5 minutes before we close. And this drunk kid walks up and he's like, can you explain the game to me? I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, this was back in Britain, and it was used to call like win and don't win. So I'm like, okay, on the win line, you win on 7-11, and on the don't win, and you lose on 2, 3, 12. That's as far as I got. He went, so I win on 2 numbers and I lose on 3. This game's a ripoff. And then he just walked away. I was like, how dumb is this dude?
You're like, this is definitely not the game for you.
Yeah. I win on 2. I lose on 3. This is a ripoff. I was like, okay, yeah. All 4 of us has just stood you for just nothing.
That's hilarious.
Just like some comments, and we're over an hour, so this is going to be fun. Vince says they put about 10 tables of Blackjack Attack, so it's a game in Fallsview Casino, and I played one day and won 600 pretty fast. Awesome.
Cool.
Then I went back a few days later, and they removed them.
Vince, you just killed Blackjack Attack.
They misjudged the house edge.
I'll have to look this game up. Maybe we can demo it and do it on a live stream. But Blackjack Attack offers surrender and ante in up to 3 spots. Sounds familiar, actually. And also lets you make additional bets after the dealer has his cards.
Oh. It'd be kind of cool, to be honest, when you think of it. Like, if you had a lot of blackjack tables, if they had like a progressive bet on a blackjack table.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you could beat, but I mean, sure, you could have a progressive bet, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can always find something to award.
Yeah, we're all pretty, we're all pretty smart here. I'm sure we can make up a donkey bet for the, a progressive, like, hey, put this one on.
Like 10 Jack of Spades loses to 8, whatever, or something.
Well, I was always saying you should have, like the dice for Pai-Gow tiles. You should just make that Sigbo. Why not? You have 3 dice. Why don't you just make that Sigbo? I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, why isn't there side bets on those 3 dice?
That's a good question. I want in Vancouver. I actually wanted 2 red dice and a blue one, and then the blue one would determine one of 6 deliveries. I was trying to be creative.
I think
They
the
said-
difference.
they said no.
I think the difference with sick bow and pie gout is pie gout. All that's doing is determining the first hand, whereas in sick bow the dice are determining what wins.
Mhm.
Right? Like if you think about craps, like we couldn't use dice, right? That sick bow used a wheel. So you'd have to, if you were using dice, they'd have to be monitored and like they are with craps.
Oh, I would
I'm
totally,
assuming.
I'd totally do that now. I'll be like, roll 3 dice, sir. That would be so fun.
It will be like poor man's craps, right? Way easier to explain sick bow than it is to explain craps.
I always thought, wasn't sick bow like the Canadian craps? Someone told me that once. I was like, oh, sick bow, that's Canadian craps. I'm like, really? Pretty sure it's not.
buy into that.
Yeah,
I
know
still haven't-
Canadians, and not that's yeah.
Yeah, here we go. That's
There you go.
There's your and roulette. There's also roulette. There you go. Can you section? Yeah. maybe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My question is, you had this wheel at the palace and you were using it for sick bow. Why didn't you just use it for craps?
Yeah.
You know, they had
Good.
that at K-Days. They probably should have just had craps before 2000.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that, why they only did it at K-Days.
Yeah.
But I think we talked about it maybe being a special, I don't know,
That's
like
right, yeah.
partially a gaming thing, right?
I think X was saying that
Yeah.
it's probably something where they didn't have the terms and conditions set at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish our comments. Oh, Vince. You dabble in the sick bow. That's wonderful. Daryl says multi-action. I love multi-action blackjack. If I still had a felt, I would totally put it on the channel and we would have a fun live stream of that. Have you?
But
do you
it was
remember
it was a crazy deemed game to deal, eh?
it was fun. You could make it fun if you were a good blackjack dealer. It was
You have to you have to remind me. I remember that I dealt it. Like I remember like
okay.
talking about multi-action blackjack, but I can't picture it in my head.
Well, so you have, because we have European blackjack, you have 1 up card,
Yeah.
and then players can bet 1, 2, 3. So you can bet 3 hands. Minimum bet was $2. Only the Palace and Baccarat Casino in Edmonton had it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you would bet your first hand, and then the dealer would go dealer's card, and then that up card would go.
Okay. They'd keep their first card.
Keep
And
the
get
up
rid of
card,
the rest.
get
And
rid
he
of
would
the
and he would
difference,
move.
and then go to the 2, yes, and then deal, and then go to the 3 and deal.
I remember now. Yeah.
So yeah, you could double whatever, but you had to split. If you split, you had to split every single bet if you had them all.
Yeah.
So
I remember. Yeah, that one was good. That was not bad. I mean, it was always a
No.
$2 table, right?
yeah,
It was also like a
People-
way for low limit players to play multiple hands without having to play like $100 a square or $25 a square.
yeah, exactly. It was nice for someone like me that was like in university and
Yeah.
not making any money to play. So
Yeah.
Well, I learned blackjack on a legal casino in Israel, right? So I never
Yeah.
dealt it before. And they just made up the rules. There was no gaming rules. There was no like terms and conditions. And we went on it and they like literally overnight, they go, okay, you can split anything as many times as you want to. We're like, what? I'm like, okay. So I'd be like, oh, and I was terrible, obviously, just, a new trainee. And they'd be like, a king and a 10. They're like, yeah, split that. How many times? As much as you want to. So they was just like splitting everything. It was like, where do you put them? Like, just find a spot.
Just figure it out.
Just figure it out. So they'd be like cards. And it was so fun because it was like, it just made no sense. It's just like, just, okay. Oh, I put them here. And people were like, there was so many people who like had so much money, be like, oh, okay, this is just funny. So they just do it just to be doing it. Like, they don't care whatever happens. You're like, I've just run out of space. There's 10s all over the place. It was just crazy. And then when I left and came back to like a real casino, they're like, oh, did you deal with blackjack? I'm like, oh yeah. And I went to London. I went to London in the UK. I worked in a high-end casino. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't left blackjack craps. He hired me. I walked in there. But like, they looked at my blackjack dealer and be like, why do we hire you? I was like, it was not for this.
That's hilarious.
oh my god.
So
All right,
when you left, you said that was the first place you dealt with Israel, you said? Is that what you said?
Oh yeah, no, the first, because so when I was 21, 21, yeah. So me and three guys from Cardiff left and went to Israel. We didn't know at the time. We went through this agency. We went and left, and we went to work in this illegal casino that we found out afterwards when we got there in Israel, in Eilat, which is basically right down the south of Israel. And we were hired as the craps dealers. So when we went there, so there's like three of us, and none of us dealt blackjack. All of us dealt, we dealt two games, so roulette and craps. And we get there, and craps was a dud. They just didn't want to play it. But every other game was busy as hell. So they only had 3 roulette tables on this like illegal gambling ship. So me and my friends dealt it all the time, and it was meth. It was crazy action, like some of the craziest action I've ever seen. And so like, John, they came up to us, they're like, yeah, you need to learn the other games because everyone else is just pissed that they have to deal blackjack and like full lay down baccarat. And they're like, yeah, everyone's getting mad at you. So like, okay, I'll deal blackjack. So I went over there and they taught me on this ship. Actually, they taught me baccarat as well. It was just crazy.
So when you learned blackjack there, and did you know that it was crazy the way they were dealing, or you just thought blackjack was?
It was. They were like, even the pit bosses are all like legitimate, like a lot of them came from London or whatever. And they're like, yeah, this is just ridiculous. This isn't real blackjack. They're just making up the rules. Like literally, you would change. You'd be like, okay, tomorrow, we'll have to do that. We're like, oh, okay. I mean, we found out when we were there. It was like the casino was run by one of the biggest organized crime families in Israel. We're like, okay, all right then, you're the boss. Okay,
yeah, I'm definitely going to do whatever you say.
Yeah, so we're like, yeah, okay. It was crazy. It was so much. It was so fun.
That's awesome. We need to bring up the story about you getting hit by a fish. That's a pretty good one. So we need to put that on Spotify and iTunes. So, yes, future story from John. His days in Israel, and we actually have photos too of that. So we have to put that
nice.
up. Couple quick comments, and then we're gonna head out here. Have you guys ever encountered card counters? Maybe that's next week's topic. Yes.
Probably thousands over the years.
Ones that would hit others. Yeah. Ones that would hit on your ex and be jerks like that. So whatever. Yes. No comment after that. Gerald says for craps, K-Days had a special exemption. Stampede, I think he's trying to say as well. So. Yeah, stamped. Vince says for blackjack they enforce max split 4 hands. That's the same here.
Yeah, it's pretty standard, I think.
Yeah.
And Gerald says I have never run into a rich card counter. Well, they wouldn't tell you they're rich.
There was one guy who did okay that got kicked out all over the province. I forget his name. I'm terrible with with names, but
I can say but go ahead, John.
No, I just think there's like successful card counters that are few and far between. There's a lot of people like, oh, I got the book and I read it and now I'm going to go and do it. I'm like, yeah, but everybody, as soon as you start playing like that, everyone's like, oh, he's trying to card count. This will be fun. I'm going to keep talking to you constantly. I'm going to make sure you lose the count.
Sorry, Mike. I see you on YouTube now. Okay. He knows the name. The name is up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, what was I going to say about that? Oh, geez. I have a really good story. Oh, okay. So as a manager, if you try to do that now, I have 6 deck shoes in high limit. Go for it. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to cut half. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And guess what? You can have 8 decks, but it's going to be on an auto shuffler. There you go. A continuous shuffler. You can count as long as you want. It's fine. It just doesn't. It's not the same. I mean, back in the day when we first had blackjack, it was like 4 decks, right? So it was a lot different back then. So
I remember I worked on one ship when we had single deck blackjack.
Yeah, Vegas has had that too. 2 deck, single deck.
And you have to deal it from I think it was 2 deck, and we had to deal it from our hands. And it was so annoying. You just spend basically every hand you're shuffling, you cut in half, and you're pitching the cards. It was fun to deal it pitching it, but it was just kind of annoying because you're just constantly shuffling. It was like, ah,
Yeah.
did Jay just leave?
Yeah. Too much shuffling.
He's like, I'm gone. See ya.
Well, my wife is here now. She's back. So
Wifey.
and she has a casino chip for me, so I'm really excited to see it.
Nice.
All right. So thanks guys. Thanks for oh, look at this. Sorry, quick comment. Machines Shuffle Master ruined all the fun. Yeah, definitely. Just final shout outs because we kind of gone over our time. Michelle?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, Skipper. Think about it, Michelle.
You only
Go ahead,
do
John.
it every show. You'd think I'd be ready.
Anyone you want to say hi to, John?
I want to shout out to Vince for being on, and he's been on the last couple of weeks, so that's cool. And Daryl, who's I've always liked Daryl. I think he's a cool guy, and I like the fact he comes on here and comments a lot. And I think he probably does that more than most. Michelle and Danny for coming on too. And Michelle, I'm glad you're no longer sick anymore. That's awesome.
Yay. We could shout out to Mike for kind of showing up.
Kind of showing up. Oh, I'm so tired, but I'm still gonna comment. Not just on Facebook, but also on YouTube. That's great. You're on like 2 different platforms. Thank you. That took no effort at all. Yeah, that's great. Vince, if you want to be on and talk about some systems, because I saw your YouTube channel, it's really cool. By all means, we'll bring the invite out if that's something that you want to do. We can have you on, even though we don't know you. Take a risk.
Get to know you. Get to know you.
Yeah, so just a shout out. Thanks, guys, for being on. I totally enjoy your company, both of you. I'm not going to single anybody out. So, no, it's always fun. And yes, we are having an event. We're having an event in September. I'm trying to get September 17th. So we'll have a few more, we'll have a few more podcast episodes before we gear up and head into that. But I definitely have a lot of things in mind, and we've got a sponsor, which is really cool. So that's going to be fun. And then hopefully it'll be a good event.
Cool,
All right.
yeah.
Sounds like fun. I never get to tell my story about what happened yesterday. That was pretty funny, but that's okay. I'll tell you later.
Okay. I guess, okay, we'll save that for next week. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks everybody for being on. Take care.
Night, guys.
Goodbye.